G'day there guys, I'm Marky and welcome back to some more stories from Reddit. Hope you enjoy today's episode. Am I the asshole for inviting my nephew to my wedding despite his estrangement from my brother? I, 33 male, am marrying my fiancé, 37 male, this winter. We're putting together the guest list to send the invitations out and have run into an issue over my nephew and my brother. My brother, 38 male, was 18 when his girlfriend told him she was pregnant. They ended up moving in together, and my brother decided to find work as a mechanic rather than go to college as he'd planned. My nephew was born a little while later. They got married when she told him that she was pregnant with their second kid, 15 female, and then had 2 more, both 10 male. Ever since my nephew was born, he's been literally one of my favorite people. I babysat him plenty of times, same with my other nibblings, and have spent my 20s as their gunkle. Which, if you don't know, is gay uncle. My brother and I were close as kids, and I've been close with his kids as well. 5 years ago, my brother found out that my nephew wasn't his, and his now ex-wife had been sleeping with someone else at the time, and had suspected my oldest nephew wasn't my brother's since he was a little kid. They ended up getting a divorce, and my brother didn't seek custody of my oldest nephew, and said he didn't want to see him. He told me that he needed time to process and would try to patch things up later. That idea was kind of ruined when my nephew turned up at my brother's apartment begging to talk. It turned into an argument between them. For context, our father had just passed a couple of months earlier, and during the argument, my nephew said something along the lines of, "No wonder my mum screwed somebody else. I bet Grandpa hated you." Oh God. That's rough. My brother cut things off then and there, and has refused to see my nephew since. I stepped in as the main male figure in my nephew's life, much as I dislike my ex-sister-in-law. I even took him out for his 18th birthday, and took him looking at universities, and he now goes to my alma mater. I don't know how to feel about that one, that's crazy. How do you come back from something like that? I asked my brother how he wants to handle the seating situation if they don't want to be close together. My brother was angry that I'd even invite my nephew after everything that happened. He said that it would be like inviting my ex-sister-in-law. He's not family, he's just the prick who disrespected our dad. I said he's being petty and childish, taking the words of a scared and angry 14-year-old so personally. He was a kid who said something shitty because his entire world was falling apart, and the person he had relied on for his whole life was suddenly pulling away, and instead of being understanding and doing family therapy or something like a grown-up, my brother decided to give adult weight to a teenager's words and cut him off completely. My nephew has said he's okay with not going if it's causing an issue, but I told him not to be ridiculous. He's important to me, and I want him there for when I marry my person. I told him he shouldn't let my brother's inability to let go be his problem. My fiancé agrees with me. My mum and sister both say that I need to see it from my brother's perspective. I think he's just being petty. Am I the asshole? I'm on Team Gunkle for this one. What the hell's that guy's problem? The kid was 14. Please, be for real. 14-year-olds say the darndest things. He's gonna say something to hurt your feelings because his feelings have been hurt. His whole world has shattered, as OP said. Like, yes, it's hard to come back from that one, but as an adult, you have to swallow your pride, I guess. Or just ignore what he said because it's a 14-year-old with a not fully developed frontal lobe. Bro is thinking emotionally. He's not thinking like, if I were in your shoes, how would I feel? From his perspective, the 14-year-old sees his dad abandoning him because of the actions of his mother, and not something the 14-year-old did himself. I'm on Team Gunkle for this one. Gunkle all the way, not the asshole. In the comments, info. Was it actually established that your nephew is not, in fact, your brother's child? Did your brother abandon him based only on suspicion? Not to say that your brother isn't wrong, he absolutely is. I'm just curious because you never clarified in your post. I can't understand why your mum and sister would be siding with him if no DNA test was ever done. Your brother seems like a 100% triple grade A asshole though. OP says, yes, I'm pretty sure the whole thing started over a blood typing assignment thing for biology class. Brother is O negative, ex-sister-in-law is A negative, nephew is A positive. Not the asshole by a mile. You're absolutely right to stand by your nephew and include him in your wedding. Your nephew is clearly an important part of your life, and you've stepped up to be there for him when his world fell apart. He needs that stability and love now more than ever, especially after being rejected by the person he thought was his father for most of his life. Your support likely means the world to him, and excluding him from your wedding to placate your brother's grudge would only add to the pain and rejection that he's already experienced. Let's break this down. Teenagers say stupid things. Your nephew is a kid going through an incredibly traumatic experience. Finding out that the man that you believe to be your father for your entire life isn't actually your biological father would turn anyone's world upside down. Teenagers are known for saying things they don't mean when they are scared or angry. Your brother should recognize that and not hold a grudge over something said in a moment of heightened emotion and pain. Expecting adult-level maturity from a kid in that situation is unrealistic and unfair. Your brother's reaction. While it's understandable that your brother was hurt by the revelation and the subsequent argument, his reaction is extreme. It's been 5 years, and instead of finding a way to heal or move forward, he's holding on to anger and resentment. His refusal to even consider reconciliation, despite your nephew's attempts to reach out, speaks more to his own issues than to anything your nephew did. The grudge isn't just about what was said, it's about unresolved pain and betrayal. But that's something your brother should work through, ideally in therapy, rather than taking out on a young man who is also hurting. Family dynamics. Your brother's demand to exclude your nephew is trying to force you to choose sides. Weddings are about celebrating love and bringing people together, not about deepening family divides. Your brother has no right to dictate who you consider family and who you want to share your special day with. By excluding your nephew, you'd be reinforcing your brother's narrative that his grudge is more important than the relationship you've built and the love that you have for your nephew. Your support matters. By standing by your nephew, you are showing him that he still has a place in the family, that he is still loved, and that he is not alone. This support could be pivotal in his healing process. It's also important for him to see that not everyone is willing to cast him aside based on circumstances beyond his control. Your brother's refusal to move past his anger is his issue to deal with, not yours. You are not responsible for managing his emotions or protecting him from his own unresolved feelings. By inviting your nephew, you are honoring the bond you have with him and making it clear that he matters to you. Your brother may need time to come to terms with that, but ultimately, his inability to let go shouldn't dictate your choices or your wedding day. Stick to your guns, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for choosing love, understanding, and support over petty grudges. You are not being insensitive, you are being compassionate and kind, and that makes you far from an asshole. That boy lived with you all for 14 years and no one did what you did for him? Like his grandma? Didn't she feel something about losing her grandson? The dad? He saw all his life development until 14, took him to the doctors, changed diapers, playing with him, buying bicycle, picnics, Christmas, Halloweens, etc. And then cut that poor boy off just like this. Whoosh! Memories and emotions deleted. Bro, even if he's not a blood relative, you and your family are his family for 14 years. Not the asshole. Don't cut that child from your life. This right here is what I couldn't understand. Like OP's sister and mum weren't in the nephew's life for 14 years? They were just about to cut him off, snip snip? That's frickin' cold, man. He probably always regretted his life path a bit because he had plans and dreams at 18 and he cast them all aside for his son. Well, fast forward, the reason he chose to go down this path turns out to be false, and at that moment he felt robbed of his dreams. I get the initial hesitation, and that argument was a barrel of fuel on the fire. How do you blame the kid though? His only fault is saying mean things after being abandoned as a child. I don't blame the kid. Not at all. He is as innocent as can be, but I merely tried to explain what I think is going on in Dad's brain. If anyone is to blame, it's the boy's mum who lied and cheated. Yeah, not an easy one. Not an easy situation at all. I do want to know more about the rest of the family and how they just cut this boy off too, because at the end of the day, you raise this child, that child is still your son. How are you just going to cut your son off like that? It doesn't matter if he's not yours biologically at this point. You've been tied to him for 14 years. Are all of these people just emotionally damaged and able to just forget 14 years worth of emotional connection? That's crazy to me. That if that's true, that's a real cutthroat family right there. Oh my god. And now, onto the update. So I decided to follow some of your advice and talk to him about what happened and set some boundaries with my brother. So I saw him in person to talk things over. I told him that my nephew has been in my life for more than half my life. I was 14 when he was born. I've been his uncle for 19 years, and fundamentally, he's not the one that betrayed my brother, and while I can't imagine what must be going through my brother's head at the time, it's not my battle to fight. And even if it were, I'm not obligated to take it out on a kid who had nothing to do with it. What he said was extremely shitty, yeah, but we're talking about someone who was 14 at the time, and absolutely did not have the emotional maturity to handle the situation. I told him my nephew was open to a mutual apology. So bottom line, my nephew is invited, and he's getting a +1, and I will seat him away from my brother if he wishes, but that is the most I will do. They can talk or not talk, kiss and make up or ignore each other all night, but I am not making it my fight. My brother said he understood and would think about it, and then a couple of days later, he drunk texted me a complete 180 and asked if I could invite my ex-sister-in-law too, which I think is probably because his RSVP included his new girlfriend as his +1, and she's 26, I think. I just know my niece complained it was gross that her dad's new girlfriend was a year closer to her age than his. Oh god. He's so messy. My brother at his best is charming, confident, looks-wise kinda like a chunkier version of me, so not bad looking, and he had no trouble pulling women post-divorce once he got his confidence back and lost weight. I declined his drunk request, but his girlfriend is nice, and I told my niece that girlfriend is inside the half +7, so she can't be completely grossed out. Since some of you asked about my nephew and ex-sister-in-law, I'll explain. She didn't know for sure that my nephew wasn't my brother's, but she strongly suspected that she was sleeping with both her affair partner and my brother at the time. For about a year after the divorce, my nephew would throw the deception back in her face every time she reprimanded him, until I sat him down and pointed out that the more people he pushes away, the fewer people he has in his corner when things go south. Bottom line, she is his mother. After the debacle with my nephew, my brother and ex-sister-in-law were more careful with my niece and the twins about not making adult problems their problems as well. Sorry there was no Scarlet A like many of you would have liked. She's not my favorite person, but I can sort of tolerate her. To answer the question about his bio dad, my nephew has expressed zero desire to meet him. He says he doesn't get why people think a perfect stranger could replace my brother, like being abandoned out of the blue never happened. My nephew RSVP'd yes, and is taking his they friend. His significant other is non-binary, and that's what they're calling themselves. So, fingers crossed a happy ending. In the comments, Over Breakfast says, "It's great you're standing your ground and focusing on what's best for your nephew. Sounds like you've handled a tricky situation with a lot of empathy and fairness. Fingers crossed everything goes smoothly at the wedding. If there will be alcohol, get someone reliable to keep an eye on your brother to head off any trouble during the reception." Yeah, I feel like this is gonna go badly. Two people who haven't seen each other in years with so much unresolved trauma and hate, and then add drinking to the mix. Hopefully they are seated very far apart. Man, I just read the first post, and while I don't love your brother's reaction, I do think he's getting shit on by everyone in his life. You seem to be pretty non-supportive when his life was turned upside down. Hopefully it all works out. People tend to be non-supportive when you misdirect your anger at a child and not the person actually responsible for your anger and pain. Heaven forbid the guy want to take some time away to process what he went through and not have to live in a home with the personification of his wife's cheating. Referring to a child as a personification of someone's cheating is just vile. I mean, that's what it is. Sorry you don't like my wording. Maybe human embodiment would be more to your liking? Either way, it is a constant reminder of that. So, they never got an actual paternity test? Feel like I need to edit to say that I'm a nurse who works in stem cell transplant for hematology. I understand how blood and tissue typing/matching works. I also know that there are lab errors. Still feels like it warrants a call to Maury if an actual paternity test wasn't done. I know he's 85 and retired, but he really should just start the show up again just for a special on this one. When you have the rock-solid evidence of a middle school biology assignment, you don't hang around thinking about things or seeking therapy or taking cheek swabs of your children. You just look into the face of the child that's loved you for every moment of his life, shove his ass out of a moving vehicle and leave him to fend for himself in the wilderness. Come on, everyone knows that. Oh no, it's sad because it's true. I wish we would normalize parents having space to process really big news, especially since nephew had other adults that he could lean on. Bro should have been allowed the space to seek a therapist and talk through that life-changing information. Sister-in-law sounds like a piece of shit who thought that she'd better secure her position with more children that she was sure are OP's brothers. Man, what a family to be born into, huh? I'd just be asking Gunkle at this point to adopt me and get me away from that freak show. Because basing all of that on a biology assignment, which yes, it could be enough evidence, who knows, but you don't have the rock-solid evidence of the Maury Povich show and having a chair thrown at you. So I'm really not convinced that we should end the story there. There should be another part to this one. I need more content, and I need more rock-solid evidence that the child is in fact not his. And I need to see the dad get drunk at the wedding and cause a scene. I need to see it. I want to see what that's like. Hey, ex-wife. Hey, look at this. This is my 26-year-old girlfriend, huh? You'll never be the woman she is. Please, God, do it. That would be so funny. As always, OP, thank you for the story. Very much enjoyable. Hope all goes well in the future. If there's another update, please, God, make it and let us know. Our next post is by user RussoDoll86, titled, My male 24, girlfriend female 25's, mother female 55, took my Transformer toys to give to her grandson. My relationship with my girlfriend's mother has recently turned sour after she took my Transformer toys from my flat to give to her grandson. She's refused to give them back, saying that someone in their 20s shouldn't have toys in their flats. The issue is that they are collectibles in addition to toys. Since the majority of them date back to the 1980s, their combined value is estimated to be roughly $10,000 to $11,000. I haven't gotten them appraised, but that's what I'll put down if I make the report. You're now breathing manually, and also, the 1980s were 44 years ago. Isn't that crazy? I informed her of their value, but she brushed it aside by stating, well, they're just toys. I even told her that I'll go to the store to pick some toys for her grandson, but she doesn't want that, and refused by saying, they don't make 'em like they used to. You got soft hands, boy. They don't make 'em like they used to. My girlfriend and I have spoken about this, but she doesn't want to become involved and prefers that I handle it on my own. I told her that I've exhausted all other options, and that the next logical step is probably to report the items as stolen. Stealing something worth $10,000 isn't a misdemeanor either, this is felony-level theft. Additionally, the mother took them by entering my flat using my girlfriend's key. My girlfriend said that she would speak to her mother and asked her not to do anything similar ever again, but that I should let this one go and not escalate the matter because if I reported it, we would be done. She said she would only talk and involve herself if I promised not to do anything about it, and I should value our 2.5-year relationship more than some plastic toys. I don't understand why she isn't valuing our relationship and getting my stuff back from her family. Yeah, OP, please be a doormat. I value my mum more than you. $10,000 is not as valuable as my relationship with my mother, okay? You have to understand that I like her more than you. Now be a good little doormat and lay down. I just want my things returned. I genuinely find it hard to believe that she is siding with her mother. We've already gotten into a few arguments over this over the past few days, and I don't think that things will get better. A part of me believes that her mother will likely sell them for a profit or something, and then purchase the cheaper ones for her grandson to give him on his 6th birthday. I don't want to involve the police and ruin my relationship with my girlfriend or her mother. Up until now, her mother has been nothing but nice to me. Is there a more effective approach to take? Advice? suddenly get very interested in baseball and baseball paraphernalia and walk around outside of her house. That's a very good suggestion that I could make. OP, when told to go over and get them back, says, "Get them how? I don't know where they are. Most probably in their house, but I don't think she'll let me search her house for my stuff. Asking for it hasn't worked. Hang the hell on. She can enter your house to steal your shit, but she won't let you into her house to get your stolen property back. Bro, I can't even right now. Get the hell out of here. Tell your girlfriend to take you over there and let you in and look for your shit. Also, said child recipient of your stolen property is a relation to your girlfriend. Tell her to get you in touch with that child's family so that they can return your stolen property. If your girlfriend won't do either, then she's morally complicit in you being robbed. Are you sure you want to be with a girlfriend who supports her mother in theft, instead of just going and taking those toys and bringing them back to you?" OP says, "I see what you're saying, but other than this one thing, the rest has been good." I'm gonna smash my head into a wall. They always say this. Here's the thing. Her mother let herself into your home intentionally to steal from you. But she's not going to say anything. She's hit taking the key back. She's not demanding the things get returned. She's doing nothing. And she will punish you if you do the one thing you have left to do. Basically, your girlfriend is helping her mum steal from you, and I'm guessing agrees with her mum about your toys. Are you sure your girlfriend wasn't in on them being taken? And why is it okay for her to throw away your 2.5-year relationship so that her mum can literally steal from you? And also, why would you want to preserve a relationship with someone who thinks so little of you, your feelings, and your belongings? Go to the police? Screw me. You're more concerned about upsetting the person who stole from you and your girlfriend that supports that? She says the two of you will be done if you do report that. It's probably for the better, right? You're not the one who is jeopardizing the relationship. Her mother started the process, and your girlfriend is merely finishing it. She doesn't want to get involved when you're both being affected, but she's perfectly willing to when it's her mother. Mothers are important, but so are boundaries and, the law. And now, onto the update. I broke up with my girlfriend because she continued to take her mum's side and threatened to break up with me. Police report has also been filed, wrote down the estimated value to be $13,000 when the police asked me for it. Fingers crossed now. In the comments, Queen's Lily says, "Don't forget to get your locks changed." And OP says, "Already asked the building manager to do that. They should get changed by the end of the week." Does the theft of $10,000+ worth of stuff increase the potential charges that the girlfriend's mom could face? Not to mention that they may become damaged while in her possession if she doesn't try to sell them. OP says, according to the police, yes. That is why they asked me to add $3,000 to my estimation. They would have to be appraised once retrieved, though, for charges to be pressed. Everything will be out of the box now. There is no way that a kid understands value, unless she sold them to collectors, in which case she will have to pay you for them. OP says, she hasn't given them to him yet. She is waiting for his birthday, which is in a few days. I suspect she won't give them to him now after knowing what they are worth, and will try to sell them for profit. I suspect it'll come out that the girlfriend gave her mother permission to take the collectibles because she did not like them. I came to say this, 100% girlfriend resented the toys, and mum took matters into her own hands, with girlfriend's help and approval to take care of things. This wouldn't surprise me. So many adult women have problems with men collecting things, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. And now, onto the final updates. Hello everyone. I wanted to give you an update about my Transformers collection that was stolen by my ex's mother. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to recover any of them, but we settled for $7,000. This amount is definitely less than what I believe was fair, but at this point, I'm ready to move on. The past 2 years have been incredibly tough, and I just want to put this behind me. Thank you all for your support. It meant a lot to me when I needed it the most. In the comments, Saturo1207 says, I think it was your ex-girlfriend who told her mum to steal it. That's why she does not want to get involved to get it back. They planned it and just told you they gave it to her grandson so that you would stop. Settled. So I'm assuming she offered $7,000 if you dropped charges? Did they get given to the kid? Were they sold? What the actual hell? I'm petty and vindictive. If I could afford it, I'd tell my lawyer, let's just keep going at them until she's bankrupt. That's the trade-off. You can either receive a portion of, maybe even the majority of, the value of the stolen items, or you can get whatever is left after their lawyer and your lawyer have charged them for all their time, plus court fees and whatnot. Sure, you could run them into the ground, but it could very well get to the point where there is nothing to be gained by it. It could even cost you money. Besides, OP didn't say that that was the value they paid for the collection, but rather what it was currently valued at. In an ideal world, they'd be made whole, but they still could have come out of it with a decent profit. Sometimes it's smarter to cut your losses than to see it through to the end. Or, don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. The vindictive side of me wants to see OP sue them into the ground and bankrupt them, but that seems like a gigantic overreaction. Even though I think it'd be funny to read about. I understand why OP did what they did. This is just a tough lesson to lock up your collectibles. Make sure that you don't get burnt again by someone that you should be able to trust. But even in saying that, it's a kind of a double-think situation for me, because it's like OP should have been able to trust his girlfriend. I don't think that there was anything he could have done to prevent this situation. It's just unfortunate that it happened. He got burnt, he got $7,000 back out of it. Time to invest into another collection. Thank you for the story, OP. Our next post is by user Consistent Reason 349, titled, I, female 18, realized all the sacrifices my older brother, male 25, made for us. Just a bit of a content warning, trigger warning for those that need it. Lots of graphic mentions of domestic violence in this one, and like violence in general, so if you don't like that, you can skip this story. Created this account just for this story. Also, I want to keep in mind that I'm sharing this story from my perspective and from what my brother told me, so I don't know if anything is completely accurate, but I also don't have a reason to doubt the accuracy. My siblings and I grew up in a highly abusive environment. Besides my older brother, I have 2 younger siblings, a younger brother and a younger sister. Our parents were addicted to alcohol. They would drink every day, and it was like a forced round of Russian roulette every day. We either had luck, and they would just argue downstairs with each other, or they would come upstairs to release their anger onto us. And when they did, my older brother would stand guard at the stairs to make sure that we were safe. He would try to make them focus on him, so whenever they came upstairs, they would horribly beat him. And when they tried to enter any of our rooms, he would provoke them so they would focus on him and beat him until they were too tired to focus on us. While he protected us from them, he sacrificed his own childhood. And instead of doing something he liked, he educated himself and learned how to do programming each and every single day. He knew that something from the IT and programming sector would get him into a high-paying job, and his goal was to get out of there and take us with him, but to take care of us, he needed money. He also never had friends at school because he saw friends as a waste of time for his goals. Let alone the fact that he never properly finished his education because he was more worried about us than his own future. When he was 18, he did an internship for a local IT office that was looking for employees, and after a few weeks, he got the job and he was making good money. After he moved out, he found an apartment with enough space for all of us, and from then on, he tried everything to get us out of there. A bit later, my parents got arrested because my younger sister came to school with bruises from the beatings she took from our mum before. After my brother was gone, we had to take the beatings, but at least we didn't have to wait for long. After my parents got arrested, we started to live with my brother. He had to do a bit more stuff so that my younger siblings could live with us too, but he somehow managed to convince authorities to let them stay with us. I will never understand where he took all his energy from to do all this. I was still underage when we continued to live with him, but in his new job, he made enough money to make sure that we had it good, and he finally gave us the loving and caring home that we craved for such a long time. I adore him so much. He was so selfless all the time, and rather took care of us than himself. And yesterday, something happened that made me want to share his story. When I woke up, I went to get some breakfast, and when I passed my brother's door, I heard him crying in his room. I knocked at his door and went inside, and the moment he saw me, he wiped away his tears and smiled. He asked if I was fine. I didn't feel the need to answer, I just hugged him. I felt so sorry for him. He sacrificed everything so that we were safe. He couldn't hold in his tears any longer, and I told him that he should probably go to therapy because what he went through would be way too much to handle for anyone. I adore him so much, and I will forever be grateful for every sacrifice he made for us. He didn't deserve any of the things that our parents put him through. We as a whole never deserved what our parents put us through. They're supposed to be a safe space for all of us, but instead, they were abusers. I will help my brother, and I will make sure that he feels loved too. He deserves to have a safe space as well. He wants to be ours, so I want to be his. Thank you for reading. In the comments, Ms. Tripp says, "Lucky you all are to have that wonderful man as your brother. Let him know how much you appreciate him and love him, but also let him know that it wasn't fair and it's okay to have feelings about the position that he has been put in. I hope that you're able to find a therapist that can help you untangle this mess. I'm so sorry that you were put in this mess, but it's incredible that you all got out and are doing well. Hugs to you all. Your brother is a goddamn superhero. I rarely ever cry while reading a story, but this was effing awesome to read. And I got a bit misty-eyed, I'm not gonna lie. That man deserves every bit of happiness he has so desperately craved over the years. Now that his goal is almost complete, I'm assuming your younger siblings don't have too long to go before they graduate high school. He's going to need support finally getting started on actually living his own life. I say, when you get the chance, pay to take him out for some sort of childish adventure. Something that will allow him to live a little of that childhood that he missed out on before he gets too old to actually enjoy it. OP says, I actually thought about doing this. His birthday is in a month, and I thought about giving him a bit of the childhood that he never had. That's sweet, OP, and I really do hope that you give him that childhood that he never had, because I think he deserves it after everything that you guys have gone through. It takes incredible bravery and sacrifice to do what he did, sacrificing even having a social life at all just to make sure that you guys had it good, or just had the bare minimum at all. Like, I can't imagine how he's feeling, and I really do hope that he gets therapy to deal with all of that, because that's quite the emotional load that he continues to hold on to. And now, onto the updates. My post is 3 months old, but I thought I might give you an update just in case you're interested. So in the last 3 months, I got a job and earned money myself. I wanted to take some weight off his shoulders and took care of many things so that he doesn't have to. After everything he went through, he deserves a break, and I'll try to make sure he learns to take care of his mental health, which is still pretty bad after everything that happened. I honestly underestimated how bad it was, and still is. I think that this shield he created to protect himself throughout the years of trauma is now going to crumble. But with it down, now all the emotions held back and all the pent-up pain come up, and emotional breakdowns happened way too often. He is aware of that and he tries to control it, but it doesn't work. He is in therapy, but it'll take a while for him to feel better. You see, my younger siblings and me were traumatized too, but at least we were kept safe enough by him so that we could express and let out our emotions. He never had that safe space. He had to bottle up everything. It's a good thing that now he has us as his safe space, but I just don't know if it's enough. He is the most important person in our lives, and we will be there for him. We make sure every day that he is loved. I mentioned in the previous post that his birthday is in a month. On that day, we got him a birthday cake and some presents. We celebrated with him, and it was wonderful. I know I probably talk too much about him, but I feel so bad that everything traumatizing that happened to him came from him protecting us. I can't stop feeling guilty, or that I should at least have interfered way earlier. He assured me that it's not my fault, and I know that, but it's hard to describe. Just imagine that you walk across the street and a car is about to hit you because you didn't pay attention before crossing the street, and someone else pushes you aside to save you. But then this person doesn't have legs anymore, and you can't stop feeling guilty because you know the person probably would have kept their legs if you had just paid attention earlier. That's how I feel. All I know is that I will be there for him. That is the least I can do. In the comments, I hope all of them are in therapy. This family deserves peace. The mama bear in me is so angry that any child has to go through this. Wishing them well, right? As a mum, I want to go punch these parents, then go make the kids a warm meal, read them stories, and tuck them into bed, 25-year-old included. I'm child-free myself, but some of these posts, man. I don't have much, but I want to take these kids out for a good time and then tell them how proud I am. I'm so glad that OP is such a good person. I'm watching my wife struggle with the fact her siblings are now facing that she is no contact with their parents. They have no idea what she did for them, the things that she shielded them from. It kills her inside not to have a relationship with them. OP's brother is an absolute beast of a person and deserves the best. I'm in the same spot as your wife with one of my sisters. The others get it, but the youngest thinks that I'm a liar and a terrible person, and it hurts so much. I think as she matures, she may realize the truth, and my door is always open to her, even if she still hates me. But I'm having to just kind of wait and try to get over the fact that this kid who I protected and who I love so goddamn much is disgusted by me. My own mother has repressed all of the abuse by my stepfather, and my siblings were too young to remember. So they have all collectively branded me a liar because of the things that I have mentioned throughout the years that my mum doesn't want to remember. I used to take my siblings into the closet under the stairs and barricade the door, while desperately trying to call 911, despite the fact that he ripped the receiver out of the wall, listening to him beat the shit out of my mom. I didn't need to be a shield for them often, but it did happen. The part that tears me up the most is not that it happened, but that if I ever told them all that, they would assume that I'm lying. I hate that they all think that I'm a liar when in actuality, I'm just the only one that remembers. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, go make a nice cup of tea. Take some time off if you need, and have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.